If irony were a sport, I'd win gold. Because only I could fall head over heels for a guy online only to find out he's the same jerk who used to shove me into lockers. It started innocently. Or at least, that's what I told myself when I joined HeartConnect, some new dating app for authentic connections. I wasn't even looking for love. Hell, I barely believed in it. After years of avoiding people, trusting felt like a luxury I couldn't afford. But then came Eli. He was funny in that unpolished way, like he didn't try too hard. He'd message me late at night about random stuff: the smell of rain, the loneliness of Sundays, the way people wear masks and call it confidence. He listened when I ranted about work, sent me playlists that somehow matched my mood, and made me laugh until I forgot that I'd built my life around avoiding pain. For 2 months, Eli was my secret escape, my 2 a.m. warmth, my proof that maybe, just maybe, there were still people who saw me without judgment. And then came the photo. It was his idea. "Let's meet soon," he'd said. I hesitated because love online always felt like love through fog. But that night, when he sent me a selfie, golden hair, familiar smirk, that unmistakable dimple, I froze. My stomach dropped. Eli wasn't some random guy from Portland. He was Eli Carter, the golden boy quarterback from Lincoln High, the one who made my teenage years hell. My mind spiraled back to those days. The jeers in the locker room, the accidental shoves, the laughter when he called me pretty boy, like it was a curse. And now that same guy had been whispering about sunsets and poetry into my inbox. I wanted to throw my phone into the ocean. But part of me, the part that remembered the softness in his late-night texts, couldn't. Because what if this was real? What if he'd changed? I didn't sleep that night. I replayed every conversation, every word, every moment that suddenly carried new meaning. And then, almost out of spite, I texted him back. "So, Lincoln High, huh?" There was a pause. Then, "You found out." No denial, no excuses, just those 3 words, heavy, uncertain, real. He asked to meet. I said no. Then yes. Then no again. In the end, curiosity won. We met at the old football field, the one that still smelled like grass and cheap beer and memories I wished I could burn. He was there before me, hands in pockets, eyes unsure. "I didn't know it was you," he said, voice low. "I swear. Doesn't change who you were." I shot back. He nodded. "No, it doesn't. But I'm not that guy anymore." Silence hung between us, thick, bitter, and fragile. He told me about college, how his perfect life fell apart, how he realized too late what kind of person he'd been. He said he reached out online because he wanted something real, but never expected it to be me. I wanted to believe him, but forgiveness isn't a switch you flip. It's a door you open slowly, afraid it'll slam shut again. So I walked away. I told him I needed time. The next few weeks were torture. Every time my phone buzzed, my heart jumped. Every time it didn't, it hurt. He didn't message again, maybe out of respect, maybe out of guilt. I didn't know which was worse. Then came the night of the reunion. I hadn't planned to go, but something in me, pride, maybe wanted to prove that I wasn't the scared kid he remembered. So I went. The gym smelled the same. Waxed floors, punch bowl sugar, faint sweat. I almost laughed at the déjà vu. And then I saw him. Eli stood by the trophy case, wearing a black shirt that somehow made his blue eyes look even brighter. When our eyes met, everything stopped: the noise, the laughter, the years between us. He smiled, hesitant. "You came, just to see if you'd trip over your own ego," I said. But my voice shook. He chuckled softly. "Still funny, still beautiful." That last word hit harder than it should have. We talked, really talked, about the past, the pain, the things left unsaid. And somewhere in the middle of all that, I realized something I hadn't before. Maybe he wasn't asking for forgiveness. Maybe he was asking for a chance to become the kind of man who deserved it. When the DJ played some cheesy slow song from 2010, he offered his hand. "You don't have to," he said. I took it anyway. The lights dimmed, and for a moment, it felt like the world had stopped spinning. My head rested against his shoulder, hesitant, disbelieving. His breath trembled near my ear. "I was such an idiot," he whispered. "Yeah," I said quietly. You were. But I didn't pull away. We didn't talk for days after the reunion. But something had shifted. The wall between us, built from years of pain and silence, had cracked just enough for light to seep through. Then, one evening, he showed up outside my apartment. No text. No warning. Just a knock and that same nervous half-smile I remembered from the field. "I brought coffee," he said. "And an apology that'll probably sound like every apology you've ever hated." I wanted to shut the door, but I didn't. He stood there, fumbling with his cup, eyes down. "You know what's funny?" he said quietly. "Back then, I used to make fun of you because you were everything I couldn't be: honest, brave, comfortable with who you were. I thought if I made you smaller, maybe I'd stop feeling so damn fake." The words hung between us like confession smoke. I didn't know what to say. The anger I'd carried for years, the anger that had become a part of me, felt suddenly tired. "You can't just say sorry and fix everything," I said. "I know," he whispered. "I just want to try." Something in his voice, soft, real, broke through the armor I'd spent years polishing. So I let him in. We sat on my couch, drinking lukewarm coffee, talking about everything and nothing. For the first time, the air between us wasn't heavy. It was fragile, yes, but full of possibility. Over the next weeks, he kept showing up. Sometimes with food, sometimes just to listen. We walked through the park, watched dumb movies, argued about everything from politics to pizza toppings. It wasn't perfect, far from it, but it was real. And slowly, I started to see the man he'd become, not the boy he was. One night, as we stood on the fire escape watching the city lights flicker, he said quietly, "Do you ever think about us? About what we could be?" I turned to him. "You mean besides the part where you ruined my adolescence?" He laughed, that deep, genuine laugh that always caught me off guard. "Yeah, besides that. I think about it," I admitted. "And it scares the hell out of me." He reached out, fingers brushing mine, tentative, trembling. "Me too," he said. "But maybe that's a good thing." The city buzzed below us. The night smelled like rain and renewal. I looked at him, really looked, and saw not the jock who made me feel small, but the man who'd spent every day since trying to make things right. So I took his hand. And for once, I didn't let go. Love isn't a movie moment. It's a series of quiet choices to stay, to trust, to forgive. And sometimes, forgiveness feels a lot like falling again, only this time you're not alone. We didn't rush it. There were bad days. I still flinched at old memories. He still blamed himself more than he should. But he kept showing up. Every morning text, every small kindness, they built something fragile and strong all at once. One Saturday, we went back to the old football field. It was empty, the bleachers rusted, the scoreboard broken. But the ghosts were still there, our past selves, shouting across time. Eli walked to the middle of the field, looked around, then turned to me with that crooked smile. "This place feels smaller," he said. "Maybe we just grew up," I answered. He nodded, then stepped closer. "You know, when I used to stand here, I thought I owned the world. Now I just want to make peace with it." "Good start," I said softly. He took a breath, then looked right into my eyes. "I love you." There it was. Simple. Bare. No grand speech. Just truth. I felt something tighten in my chest, fear, relief, everything at once. "I'm not the easiest person to love," I whispered. "Neither am I," he said. "That's why we'll fit." And when he kissed me under the same sky that once held all our hate, it wasn't like a fairy tale. It was real, human, imperfect. His hands were warm, his breath uneven, and somehow that made it more beautiful. The wind rustled through the empty bleachers, and for the first time, the field didn't feel haunted anymore. Felt like home. Months passed. The people who used to define us became background noise. Life went on, messy, unpredictable, but ours. Sometimes, when he'd fall asleep beside me, I'd trace the scar on his chin, the one from senior year when he tripped during practice, and wonder how we'd survived everything that tried to break us. Maybe love doesn't erase the past. Maybe it just makes peace with it. We were two flawed people who'd hurt and healed in equal measure. But somehow, through pain and forgiveness, we found something worth holding on to. He still calls me pretty boy, But now it's whispered with affection, not mockery. And every time he does, I smile not because I've forgotten, but because I've finally learned that sometimes the heart finds its way home in the most unexpected places. That's the thing about love. It doesn't always arrive gentle. Sometimes it crashes through your walls, wearing the face of your past, daring you to forgive and begin again. And if you're lucky, really lucky, you'll find the courage to say yes. Because sometimes, the person who once broke your heart is the only one who knows how to hold it right. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.